All right, hello and welcome to Stampscapes Friday Night Live. If I seem a little flustered, it's because I've been trying to get a lot of the orders out for these new Halloween stamps and just whatever orders came in before the post office closed. So my local branch was closed, but I made it over to the main hub or whatever and was able to get out a lot of your orders. Thank you so much for them. And let's test out some new stamps here. All right. So we did some foundations for some designs, cards last week. And I thought we would just, I don't know, finish off these. I was trying to remember what I had in mind with all of these foundations here. By foundations, I mean I just stamped out a bunch of imagery with the intention of using some of these designs within the whatever the environment that was established. And I'm trying to remember what that was. All right, so hello, Linda. All right, let's see here. So this one right here, I was just playing around with the designs yesterday, and I thought I would do something like this on this right here. So let's see. Let me see if I can get organized here and get some of these compositions finished off. We have a lot of these pieces kind of already, kind of established with a certain degree of lighting on them, light and shadow. So I won't need to do too much. Maybe if these stamps work out in the compositions that I've established for them, I'll just have to do a little bit more shading probably. All right, Linda, how was your trip? All right, let's see. So I already stamped this one out yesterday. So this should stamp out reasonably well. Okay, I have to get my bearings on where the images are, or where the landmarks on the images are, with all of these stamps right here. So, I have not practiced with these beyond yesterday. When they arrived, gosh, did they just come in yesterday? Whew. So I need to learn how to how to stamp and refine the usage of them. So, okay, so right here, what I'm talking about right here is I just have to get familiar with where that house ends right here, or you can call it begins right there, here from the bottom up, so that I can kind of stamp it roughly around the that horizon line right up there, the slope. Now, normally, that's because I would normally stamp this out first and I'd work all the designs around it, but I just wanted to kind of expedite the process of using them today, so I just stamped it out first. But normally, you stamp that out first, and then it's easy to see where to kind of, make your little slope right there. So, just as long as you're about a 1/4 inch one way or another, I think it'd be fine. And if you stamped it a little bit too high, then you just use this and you stamp some extra texture up there if you need to. All right, now one of the things that was really fun to add yesterday was my fencing right down here. And I thought that really made a good, kind of a visual entry point for the that Victorian house there. So let's do that again. So you said right here, right in here. So I didn't overlap that quite enough. So what I should really do is on this stamp right here is I should probably do a little bit of a mark right here on the back to show exactly where that stamp ends. Okay, so I can do a little bit of a line like this right here. So I was kind of understamping it a little bit. That's where you just kind of, like I said, you just make it visual, and it'll just be real easy to go off of, because there's a little bit of a perimeter on here. It's not flush with the design. You want to get it closer the better, but you don't want to get it super close, because over time this cling foam, if it does, it can slightly reduce in size, and you don't want to have an overhang of rubber where the image is in relation to that cushion underneath, because that cushion underneath is providing the stability, you know, the platform to stamp out whatever image is right over the top of it. So if there's no some pressing down on it, it'll probably stamp out, but it, you know, there's a chance that it might not, you know. So just better safe than sorry. All right, so let's do this. Okay, so this is the vintage paper, whatever, stationery paper. And it's just really super cheap paper, okay? But it does have this printer ink on there. It'll take a lot of different types of inks because it is very porous, but I'm just going with a little bit of a thicker ink than a dye-based ink, okay? You might have a good dye-based ink that'll give you some really dark impressions on it, but I don't know. Like a VersaFine Clear would be really good on it. This one's a hybrid ink. Stays on, maybe? I don't know. Stays on ink dries so fast, so I tend to use that on the types of surfaces that only will take stays on ink. Okay, so I'm going to go, well, let's go about, I'm going to do this over here like this. So this is going to be going up into this tree. This is where you normally stamp all your kind of foundational images out, your structures first, and then, you know, work the other things around it. But we worked a little bit backwards this time, just because I couldn't wait. All right, so we have that. Then I need to get my fence in there. Hello, Cynthia. How are you? Jeannie, good to see you. Hope everyone's doing well. We got through a big heat wave down this way, and there's like wildfires happening to the north of us. I'm just hoping that we don't have a big wildfire season down this way. All right, so there's some fencing right there, and then you just place this column again right over here, and then you just keep building out accordingly. I'm not too worried, or I don't know, stressed out about like stamping this, like, you know, a little bit off axis, I guess it would be. Okay, I didn't go over quite over. I'm getting it fine going this way, but for some reason I'm you know, not getting that. Maybe this is cut a little bit wider. It looks about the same. And you go like this. And I'm like that, okay. If I look real carefully, I can see this one's off a little bit like that, but, you know, it's a Halloween type of scenario, so that the fence is leaning or something like that and doesn't look perfectly straight, you know, it can add to the feel, you know, or something like that. So it's a little bit, you know, it's not, you know, the house hasn't been kept up since it's been haunted. So anyway, hello, Chris, Joni, and Lynn, how are you? I hope you guys are enjoying your new batch of stamps. All right, let's see. Let me get a feel for this one right here. I think when I stamped this one out right here, I pressed a little bit too hard on that dog's head right there. Okay, so right down here, see that? That's where the dog's head goes, like right there. I was pressing like this, I think, okay? But you have this kind of just individual little area in terms of your stamp pressure. So sometimes what you do is, especially with a little bit of a thicker ink, what you do is you don't press on that very hard. So I'm going to stamp right here. And then see, I'm pressing over here, not on that head, okay? Because that area is not supported by other supporting, raised stamp texturing or image. So see that right there? It gives you a better, crisper dog skull. I don't know if you can tell right here. This is one of those little things. See, right there, I can't zoom in much closer, but it looks like the head goes off like this, and there's a neck like that, okay? Like here's the skull, like this, okay? That's what it looks like right here, but if I zoom in really closely right here, I got a little bit of that rubber, that surrounding rubber right here, okay? So what I did was I just, used my pressure close to it, like right here, but I don't push right here too hard. Otherwise, it might get some of that other thing there. I don't know. Now I look at it, I don't see any ink on this rubber right here. I don't know. Maybe that's not on the neck there. Maybe that's the Tiny Rock Small texturing behind that neck. Maybe that's what it is. Okay. So anyway, just forget what I said. No, but that's true though. What you do is you, especially for something like this. In fact, I use this in a example in a video. I talked about impression pressure. So if you type in Stampscapes impression pressure, like a video with this one comes up. What I just say, you don't put too much pressure on this upper area like that. Otherwise, it comes out really thick up top like that. It looks more like cattails. So you use more pressure down in this lower area instead of on the little pointy areas. So you can see a little bit of difference between that and that. This one looks a little more crisp, okay? Things like ducks, where they have a duck bill or something like that. If you press too hard on the duck bill, it looks like a flying platypus or something like that with a beak. So just be careful about that, or be mindful about that if you ever get that. All right, so we got this. We're going right here, and let's see. I already kind of toned off the top portion of there, but it would have been cool with some tombstones in there. I don't want to put some tombstones right over this because it would kind of break up that fencing top right there. So, let's just leave it like that. Seahorse Stamper, how are you? Glad you like the stamps. I'm having some fun using them so far. Just doing some tests right here, so haven't used them beyond the tests yesterday, but they stamped out just like I wanted them to in terms of the detailing, like, in the structure here on the side of the that Victorian house. There's little types of, I don't know, whatever you call it, like siding or something like that, and textures I put in there. And I'm looking to see if those little things that I put in the windows are reading that, are kind of small and detailed. I'm going to just use these pumpkins right here in the foreground. Okay, they're not supposed to be like, prize-winning pumpkins or anything like that. This is just supposed to be like, I don't know, whatever, 10, 20 feet in front of that skeleton there. So, skeleton and dog. It's kind of interesting kind of talking about the imagery in these scenes right here, because you just don't normally normally saying things like skeleton in the Stampscapes, whatever, live streams or videos. Like, instead of saying something like, I'm going to put the, rock textures right over here or something like that. You're saying like, okay, you're gonna put that kind of that casket, you know, that with that hand kind of opening it up right here. I'm gonna put it in like rule of thirds. All right, so anyways, going out for a nice stroll. You know, we got some pumpkins out here. It would be good with some tombstones up here, but like I said, I already put these trees in the background, so yeah. This would be a really fantastic area for like a quote stamp or a word stamp, you know, like Happy Halloween over here, just to kind of balance off this, that moon on the side there. Okay, now here's the thing. Here's the little things that you can do in here. I don't think this really needs a whole lot, but okay, so like in these windows right here, the windows are interior lit. I left the insides lighter than kind of the surrounding area, okay? If this is a daytime scene, what you do is you typically do like darker windows, okay? And you do this, what do you call those, lights or whatever like that, you know, when you have that little framing in the window. You do that in white against dark. But when you have it more as a nighttime type of scenario, you do it light with that frame, you know, that little grid work in dark. Okay, so it's like, you know, it's a little bit more haunted look. I mean, this could be used in the daytime, just like a, you know, a daytime scene can be used at night. This could be used in the day too. You know what I mean? But what you can do is, like on this type of paper where it's this color is already established as the lightest thing in the scene, you can make it lighter like this. You know, with a white pen, or you can do illuminate one of the windows, kind of making it stand out a little bit more eerie. You know, it's you know, the Bates Motel or something like that. You know, but okay, the other thing you can do is you can just kind of establish a little bit more shadow work on here. All right, Lynn, where does these shadows go? I gave him like a little lesson on shadow work. Okay, so here's the moon. I'm going with the center of the moon like this, and let's give this a little bit of lighting. This is like a sidewalk down here, so at the base of this column right here, what we'll do is we'll establish a little bit of shadow work. So I'm just getting my bearings for where those shadows could be in terms of the angles in relation to the light source like that, okay? It's just one way to do it. It's just a simple way to do it. And it's real enough, I think, in terms of the angles. Now, if you took a class, like a perspective class, I don't know, you know, where that's all you're doing, you know, the entire semester, then maybe there's some alterations here. But see this lighting like this, okay? The angles just become, you know, different depending on the location of the objects that are casting the shadows there. So you can make your shadows really strong. If you do that, you're saying that the light source is really strong. Or you can do it very subtly, and the relationship with that light source is kind of adjusted accordingly. Okay, so I'm trying to make this a little bit darker, closer to my object casting the shadow, and it just kind of dissipates, okay? Or transitions as it moves away from that object, okay? I mean, you can make it really strong, like say there's this, like a super bright sun on the horizon, or that moonlight is really, really stark, you know. But I usually like to have variation. All right, so see that right there? Just kind of, I don't know, doesn't it kind of anchor the object a little bit more? And here's a little bit of shadow at the base of, you know, some of these steps or this house. And of course our characters in here, like that, Okay. See how that there's a little shadow underneath them like that? It would probably be more over this way, the feet going that way. But I don't want to take the time to do that. That's you know, uh, there, with all these little bones and stuff like that. Oh, you didn't, you it should have been different around the femur. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do that. Okay, and yeah. So it gives the skeleton and dog a little bit more opacity and mass, visual weight. I don't know. Does this skeleton need to be walking around with like a little, baggie? I don't think, I don't think that dog needs to go. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to leave this area open for like a quote stamp. I was going to stamp these bats over here just as like another little balance, but I think this is just the perfect spot for some sort of quote. I want to see something can go in there. Kind of funky, you know what I mean? From the scenic sentiments, and I think it would add kind of a little bit of a, I don't know, kind of a little bit of a twist on the wording or something like that. The journey of a whatever 1,000 miles begins with one step, or you know what I mean? I don't know, something goofy like that. It would seem goofy in this context right here. Uh, oh, Jeannie, you haven't been able to stamp, huh? Did that help? I hope so. Glad you're enjoying your stamps there, uh, Joni and Lynn. Trim my problem. It's a good idea to do, yeah, Chris. If there's a little bit of an overhang, I would trim it. These ones are they're trimmed as close as I think they can get, though, for right here. All right. Does anyone remember what I was going to stamp in here? I was thinking it was probably this old church right there, this old kind of church out in the clearing. Let's see. See here, I have to kind of get my bearings on positioning this kind of upright because I want it a little bit kind of off. And I think this was the one that I was going to do. Let me see. Um, at the end of that road right there. Yeah. We watched so many horror movies because my son's like, I don't know, he got into horror like years ago. So it's like that became our kind of general, I don't know, whatever, movie night theme. I barely watched any horror leading up to that because there's a lot of bad horror movies out there. But I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of scenarios where there's some kind of some structure that these hikers kind of come upon. They get lost or something like that out in the woods, and there's a structure out in the woods, just like this. I don't know what percentage, like 1 out of 10, those horror movies. It seems to be like that. All right. So building that up a little bit more, about like so. And I thought we'd put in some tombstones, I think it was on this one. I'm not sure. Shot hardly hurt, but can't do much activity for a week. No stamping since I'm standing up. I thought that's how you stamped anyway, Jeannie, though. They shipped out, Debbie, so dropped it off about an hour ago. Got them out today. I thought, I got to get these out today. So it was like double, triple checking my orders too, just to make sure that I'm, sending it out to the right place. Okay, let's get some of these tombstones stamped out here. These are like the medium-sized ones. I don't know, or maybe, I don't know, whatever. Medium small. And let's block this off like this. And let's go over here. All right. About like that. I needed these tombstones in years past when I was doing my like Headless Horseman type of scenario and things like that. I don't know, whatever. Better late than never. Okay, here's some smaller ones here. I'm just kind of masking off this tree trunk a little bit. Like that. All right. I don't know if I'd go in there, though, if I came upon that at night. I don't know. Does anyone here believe in ghosts? Or seen them? If you do, I don't know. I'd worry about, someone being in there, that's living, though. I'd be more worried about that than, like a spirit or something like that if I was hiking around and came across kind of a scenario like that. I think. All right, let's see. I think a couple tombstones like on this side, that'd be kind of interesting. But maybe we should leave that open. I think we should leave that open. If I stamp this out, it would be like really too dark right in here. Which may, I don't know. Maybe that would be good for a scenario here. All right, let's see here. We have all these characters here. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we'll have this little creature. Okay, so okay, so if I'm stamping a zombie here, so I would definitely not go. Well, I don't know. I guess I'd be running towards that. There's zombies out here, but generally something if I know about it, it's like I'm staying away, probably. Okay, let's see. Let's go like this. I don't want to stamp it. Stamp the zombie too high because they would be going up into that church, okay? And then you wouldn't be able to see their head or the silhouette of them. Unless you just have like a ton of them, okay? So see what I mean right here? I just have them kind of coming down right down here, but if I stamped them a little bit higher up, you wouldn't be able to see their head because it would be lost in the shadow of the church right there. So, be it a zombie or whatever, a deer or something like that, same concepts apply. You have them kind of stamp them in an area where you can see the silhouette of them. Unless you have like, I don't know, it's like, Night of the Living Dead and you got like 50 of them coming towards you or something like that, then you can have other ones, all over the place, okay? But if it's just kind of one single kind of character like that, you want to have, them pretty much that full silhouette of them kind of standing out because that's like the subject matter of the scene. It's like the visual focal point. So, you want to see their full, whatever representation of them. We need something in the background here, like some smaller trees maybe, or I don't know. Let's do this. If you're following along with me, bust out that white pigment ink. let's put this scenario in the moonlight. So, and then that'll give us an extra excuse too for some stronger shadow, angled shadows in here, directional shadows. Was I going to do that dancing? Yeah, the skeleton dancing down the road. Maybe that was. It's turned into zombies, zombie stroll instead. 100% cotton ball. 100% cotton ball. I don't know. Do they call those synthetic ones cotton balls? I don't think they do. I don't know what they would call them. Cosmetic puff or something. But when it comes to applying media on your surfaces, cotton is king, okay? It's going to absorb the moisture. Therefore, you'll have moisture to transfer on here. If you're inking this up with like a synthetic acrylic cotton ball, it just doesn't absorb enough ink to transfer on here. It takes forever. I've tried it a couple times. I don't know, you can give it a try. Maybe there's some other type of medium that would work okay. I'm not sure, but it just, I don't know. It never worked with me. And I tried too with a couple different brands and I think different inks too. And it just didn't, it just wicks moisture. So it, didn't work at all. All right, let me see here. Here's another zombie right here. I thought a couple of them would be good here. But again, I don't want to have... If I stamp it down here, this tree is going to be like, this tree right here is already really gigantic in relation to this character right here. But if I stamp this a little bit lower, then this one's like really huge. I don't know, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I should have came up with a zombie like that was like this big, like super small, like way out there. In future scenarios, I'll be stamping my imagery and my subject matter, and I'll be working the imagery around that subject matter. But this one, like I said, I've stamped out these scenarios early on, so... You can have this, like... So even this, like, a spider right here, if I have it hanging right here, I forgot I already stamped my tombstone, so this would be kind of cool, like this. Or like a spider like this, and then what you do is you draw a vertical line directly from it, so it'd be like its little hanging web or something like that. I'll do that for the future. Okay, so let me see. So our angle's like this, so kind of create this angled shadow like this. All right, and I'm just eyeballing it this time. All right, there's our church right here. So let's see. Okay, now here's the thing. This is where you take your artistic license. I'm not going to bring my shadow down too far from the structure, okay? Because it would decrease the contrast between our character and the background like that. So see what I mean? If I make this too dark back there, then you don't really see the silhouette of the figure, especially around the head, which is kind of the most important thing, okay? All right, so here's your shadow areas. Then when I was showing you those tree shadows and angles, you didn't know it would apply to the macabre, right? All right, so let's see. Here's some shadows right here for the tombstones. Okay. This. And the higher you go up, or the farther back you go, like in here, you just do these really small shadows if you want to. Okay, I mean, it doesn't really need it, but it's kind of in theme with this. So you have a little bit of longer shadow the closer the object. As you're moving back, that shadow gets smaller. And plus, this isn't like a super tall tombstone or something like that. And sounds like that. And let's create a little bit of a stronger horizon line, just so you can see where whatever land begins and the, land meets sky, like that. And this right in here, it wouldn't be bad, to add in a little bit more shading in here, maybe. It kind of seems a little bit light. And right in here, maybe it'd be a little bit more atmospheric if I kind of close this off a little bit. Making the scene a little bit less kind of a, desirable a location. Put some streaks across that moon like that, giving it a little bit more moon. Maybe kind of doing it with like a brown or like a sepia colored pencil would probably be a little bit better. It'd match the background a little bit better, but yeah, you can just go like that. It kind of dirties up the sky a little bit like that. And see, I kind of cap this off a little bit up top like that, make it a little bit darker. So what that does is it brings the viewer's attention down a little bit lower. See right here, this is kind of like open up here, right? This one right here is just a little bit more closed. So you're bringing your viewer's attention down this way. Now on this one right here, I should probably do something in here, but like I said, I think this would look really good with some kind of, funky quote stamp right in here. So I don't want to bring anything in there yet because I want to see, I don't want to interfere with like letter forms and word stamps. Word stamps really stand out. Like characters like this and visual focal points, those are really important, but especially if you have any kind of word in there, it needs to be really legible and, you don't want to interfere with the readability of something, unless the word is like, I don't know, something like something in the dark or something like that, and you're just kind of going in theme. Okay, one of the things I mentioned before is one of the things I just started doing, this little rock stamp right here. If someone orders that, I'm typically including 2 because it's so small. All right, so there you go, like that. You can use a quote stamp in here, something like, home sweet home. All right, so a couple different scenarios right there. You see when those shadows are really fun like that? You don't have to do too much on these pre-printed papers either. That tone and everything's kind of already established and kind of lighting. So it's kind of fun just to do something like that. All right, so this is the suede paper right here. Let me see. Let me see if these like snails will stand out on here. I think it will though. Something like this. I don't know how Halloween-ish this one looks. Maybe I'll put. I guess I could put a zombie over there or something like that. But I don't know. We'll try to. I don't know. Spook this one up a little bit. Let's see. Ghostly poop bag for skeleton dog. Yeah. Well, that's what I was wondering. I was, are they supposed to be carrying around a bag? You can do a little outline bag right here, like an invisible bag, a ghost bag. All right, first impression with this one. I'm gonna stamp this one out a couple times just to make sure that I get it nice and solid, because that solid black area, if you've never used the stamp before, it could have some of that rubber release that releases it from the mold. But that looks pretty decent right there. So sometimes I'd like to do this a little bit. I'd like to rough it up a little bit just to make sure that you know, residue from that spray isn't on there. I don't know if, I don't think they spray every time. But if you do have a little bit of a like puckering, I can tell right here that, you know, if it's a thinner ink, it might not apply so thickly like that. See, it's like completely solid right there with this more thicker style of ink here. I'm just talking about the first time you use it. You don't have to do that like every time. You know, like kind of roughing it up a little bit or inking it up, pressing it out, you know, and going for that more of that second or third impression. And that's with rubber stamps. I'm not sure with the clear style. All right, holding this down a little bit longer on this pre-printed suede paper because it's more glossy, okay? So it has that coating on there. All right, that looks pretty good. So let's go. We need a lot of like bugs in here, I think. It's a bug's world. Creepy crawlies. I don't know if I want to do that. Then it looks like a bug parade or something. I don't know. Maybe we should though. Yeah. I don't know. Now I say bug parade, that might look kind of cool. This one's an inchworm right here. Okay, I do want to check this out though beforehand. Yeah, let's do it. This one right here, I put that eyeball in there. Oh yeah, and we can do that like in the shadows in here. We do those little like cartoon little beady eyes kind of looking out from the shadows in here. Yeah, seahorse stamper. Yeah, those shadows really kind of anchor things down. It gives the imagery I feel in the scenes kind of a stability and mass that I really like in the pieces. Otherwise, it just seems like they're kind of floating. Okay. Now I'm looking at right here. I just took a peek at this one. I'm going to make this a little darker right next to the figure. So you want to do that right next to the figure, as dark as the figure. Now, if the figure stamps out lighter, then do your shadow a little bit lighter. So don't make the shadows too much darker than the silhouette of the figure. But so I just made that little area right there a little bit darker, and then it transitions out like that too. So it adds more drama into the scenes. All right, let's see. It's like a. Do you see anyone see like Lord of the Rings or anything like that? When they came across these things called the ring wraiths, was that it? In that first movie, it's like they were hiding behind this, like in this root kind of area, and there's all these like worms, I don't know, like caterpillars and stuff came crawling, crawling out of there. It's kind of a cool scene right there. Let me do that with the spider right here. I'm gonna have this one hanging down somewhere. Like right in here somewhere. So you see these kind of cool scenes in movies. It might have been like 20 years ago or something like that. I've seen it since, but yeah, it's like those kind of reference points come back to me at times. It's like, oh yeah, let's kind of do something with kind of a similar feeling as that. All right, so I'm going to do something right here. I'm just going to take this, just ballpoint pen, and just roughly go for a somewhat of a vertical line right here. I don't know if that was vertical or not, but yeah, just a little spider coming in from somewhere into the scenario. So what we have here is when you're doing this type of thing, you're creating kind of a worm's eye view. It doesn't have to have a worm in it, but you're looking at the the scenario from really low on the ground, like that, and you have this like really vast field of view or whatever, because the moon's like, whatever. I don't know how many miles away the moon is from us, but you can see everything from, I don't know, like half-inch away or something like that to whatever. If it's a camera, it's like infinity, as far as the rating. And let's see here. Let's raise this up a little bit, because I do think I want to have like one of these little walking creatures in here. So I want to create a little bit of a higher slope right in here, like that. And maybe that figure that I was mentioning, this one right here. Yeah, this creature zombie can be. This is a reverse view. They have their back to us, so that, I mean, they could be coming towards us or away from us, because they're all in complete silhouette. So that, and let's try these tombstones here. I'm not sure if these are the best ones, maybe the smaller ones, but I already tried those ones out, so I want to get around to using as many different images in this live stream as I can, or in this session. It'd be fun too, you can do this type of scenario right here, but you can stamp that moon on like a, like the glow-in-the-dark sticker paper, like this, and you can have like a glowing moon in a field of, some other type of paper, which might be pretty cool. Especially if you're sending like a Halloween card to a kid, I think. Just having that kind of glow-in-the-dark element, I think, is, something like that. Something a little bit more interactive is fun. Kids like to touch things and like to interact with things, so. Okay, I'm wiping off the bottom of these tombstones a little bit because I think they're going to go right into this, the antenna or whatever. I don't know, what do you call it? That snail. Is that I don't know, is that its eyes? So going up here, I think these tombstones are going to be a little bit too large for right there, but yeah, that's not too bad. We'll just say that the zombie is kind of a little bit farther off in the distance or something like that. And let's do this right here. It's one of those abandoned cemeteries. Okay, let's go like this, and we'll put some stones over that way. I can say something like that. You can put something else down here that seems like a perfect spot for something else. I have these other bugs, but I don't think I'll, no, let me see. I don't know if I'm doing the with the like, monster maps. I think I'm using like a ton of things in here, but I think that looks good for right there. Here's another inchworm right here. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it like that for right now. Oh, okay, so here's this moon right here. I found out that I could use some colored pencils on this kind of glossier paper, which I didn't think I could until I did that thing yesterday. I didn't think I could add as much. But let's do this right here. Okay, so this is a gigantic, you know, light source. So I'll just, usually I go from center in terms of, you know, creating those angles, but I know it's just so big. I'll just kind of generally do a, oh, I don't know, whatever, a little bit of a foundation shadow in here. I'm being a little bit careful too because the ink that I just stamped those out in is still a little bit wet. Okay. So here's this snail. Maybe I can do a little bit more here. This one's had a little bit of a chance to dry here, so we'll anchor it down to the whatever fallen branch here. It's usually a big, represents a gigantic tree trunk, but when you have like bugs crawling on them, they're not, you know, these bugs aren't supposed to represent something that's like gigantic. You're just supposed to be kind of right next to them. Let's see, let's go. Okay. All right. See, that's just like some real subtle shadows in here. Just a little bit on this one right here. And I don't know, I still think I could put something right here. I'm not sure though. But, and you know, it might be good to kind of tone things in around here. But I don't know, that having that those leaves stand out against the background a little bit stronger looks pretty good too. So I don't know. I'll take a look at this one and I'll kind of decide if I want to add anything else to it, but I think it looks fine. Matting this will add kind of a, you know, I don't know, a different element to this scene as well, so maybe I'll see what that looks like. All right. So that's the suede paper right there. You can see where I've used my colored pencil a little bit when I hold it up like that. So at an angle, that doesn't look so great. You know, that like that right in there. If you want to kind of just even everything out, you can hit it with a like a Krylon spray fixative or something like that, and that'll give it an even kind of reflective texture on there. Creating that additional coat on there. Okay. All right. Our glow-in-the-dark piece. I think it was the frogs that we were going to use down here. Let's see here. Yep, your sets are on the way, Cynthia. Everyone's sets are on the way, whether you got a notification or not. If it was just like for one set or something like that, where the postage is like $1.95, I mail those ones out with just postage stamps on them. But everything is out. I think almost everything, except for one person that's overseas, where I consolidate their stamps for them. Ghosts of stampers who died stamping. Kitty zombies. There was a bunch of that Spirit Halloween store had a bunch of these like little like infant zombies, you know, as their theme for a few years, like couple years in there. Inchworm on the log. Okay, that's what it was. Well, we have a snail and inchworm on there. Iridescent paint for a snail trail. Oh, that would be cool. I wouldn't have like a bunch of bugs in here or something like that, but if you had that like in there and you did like this, yeah, like a, I don't know, what would you use? Stickles or something like that for a snail trail? If you can do it like some kind of like a blue tone scene, I think that would look really great. You know, with the moon in the sky. But yeah, if you did a little bit of a iridescent trail, that would be fantastic. Hmm. I don't know if anyone has any ideas on that trail, the medium for that trail. That'd be awesome. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. Would glitter would be too much though, wouldn't it? Or, you know, I guess that would work though. But um, I don't know. Yeah, not, well, that would be like stickles. Okay, let's see here. This is glow-in-the-dark vinyl sticker paper. Okay, it accepts water-based ink. I better switch off from this one then. This one's oil-based pigment and water-based, you know, dye ink in a fusion ink. Okay, so I'm gonna switch off to my Brilliance. This one's the water-based pigment ink. I think it's the only water-based pigment ink out there. You can stamp, you know, with your dye-based inks on here too, and that would work. I'm going to stamp in my Brilliance pigment ink because I just think that ink's going to be, you know, it's a pigment ink, so it's going to be a little bit thicker than your dye-based ink, or a lot thicker. But I need to test out some dye-based inks on this sometime. I don't think I use the Brilliance on this one, right? Okay, so let's see here. This frog cracks me up here, this frog face. Or, I don't know, whatever head. Submerged head. Yeah, look at that. It's like the shape of the lily pads a little bit. When you stamp it on this paper right here, or on this vinyl sticker paper, it grabs just this, you know, it grabbed most of the ink. And remember, this ink is pretty thick too. I mean, there's a little bit left on there, but it's the emulsion on this paper right here. It really grabs water-based media. It's typically meant for dye-based inks as you run it through your inkjet printer, which are dye-based inks in there. So that emulsion really grabs it, and it dries really fast too, like that. You know, there's a lot of solid blacks on that. This is a thick ink, but that's probably dry right now. I don't want to streak across there just to make a point, but it does dry on there very quickly. Ooh, see, it's so dry. It's like grabbing this, so you go like this, and it's like stuck to it. It's kind of like using Stays-on sometime, huh? All right, and let's not go overboard with the water things. Unless this is a monster map that I'm doing, then I would put like shark fins and everything, kind of, you know, I'd put the works in here, kind of swimming around in here. Because in some ways, like the more cluttered, the better. It seems with those monster maps. You don't know what I'm talking about. Look up like Stampscapes monster maps on in the YouTube search window, and you'll find a few videos where we did these monster maps. Or if you check out you know, the Facebook group, you can see everyone's monster maps that we made. Big, you know, like full page or double page spread, kind of like Halloween amusement park scenario type, you know, things. All right, this is my, I'm going to stamp this one out first here. Okay. Oh, that looks good. There's a lot of solid area in here, so I just want to make sure that that's stamping out fully, being that this is like the last component in here. Make sure that it stamps out right. It's a romantic row for the skeleton couple here. I'm taking a peek right in there. Look how dark that transfer is. Usually when you're stamping out on something that it seems non-porous, which this probably is, but it just grabs the ink so beautifully. Remember, it's got to be water-based ink, I think. That's what it keeps pointing out on all the literature for these things. Because people probably get them home and it's like, okay, you can run it through your print, and they're trying to run it through a laser printer or something like that, and it's not going to work. So they really kind of point that out in the description, because they're probably getting people, like I said, trying out different scenarios all the time that aren't compatible with this emulsion that's coated on here. I don't know if I can use this pen right here. I don't, the pencil. Yeah, it's not going to do anything. I'm going to see if I can get some shadow work in here. Doing this on the super fast. This isn't really super fast drying. I mean, it's a faster drying ink than normal oil-based pigment ink, just a water-based pigment ink, but the emulsion makes it dry really fast. So I can't, you know what I mean? It's hard to get like a nice graceful type of application of it. I mean, I put it on the sides, but it's a little bit chunky, looking, because this ink dries so fast on that emulsion, because that emulsion has some sort of reactive type of whatever chemistry to it. Oh, I'm practicing right in here in the darker areas first, just to get my feel of it here. Because I haven't used this type of paper a lot too, so. I just don't want it to look real chunky and kind of awkward. So I want to put a little bit of a shadow right along here. So let's give it a shot right here. It might not be precarious as I'm kind of thinking it will be. It's not too bad. Like if you ever try to, shade something with, on certain surfaces, it's like, oh my God, it's like applying, like just barely touching it. And it's like, you can't manipulate it anymore because it's just set, right away. But okay, this one's going pretty good. One thing that's helping is this is kind of dry right here. See that tone? See, it's like anchoring it down, that boat, so much better with this just slight shadow in here. You might be able to do something like that. I don't know with I mean, again, it's water-based media, but I don't know. It seems like I don't know what alcohol would do to it. Yeah, I don't know. It might not be good, but it seems like in theory it could possibly work. Yeah, that looks so much better now with that shadow in there, huh? I didn't draw the shadow into the designs inherently, okay? Because if I included a bunch of shadows like this that lead out, I could have done it in dots, and I thought about it too. But the thing is that if I did shadows for these figures in here, like at the base of things like that, I couldn't include as many stamps in the set because it has to fit within the plate like that. So, and plus, you can, the shadows would be going to certain directions. So if you have a light over here or a light over here, you adjust your shadows kind of accordingly. But sometimes I have a little bit of a shadow going just down, just to anchor it down inherently. But there's so many designs on all of these plates like this. So I can add the shadows, but I might have had like, I don't know, like 20% less imagery for you guys. So like I said, getting more bang for your buck just by adding in your shadows, yourself. And you can do it directionally too, according to the light sources. Okay, let's see right here. Little frog shadow, like that, right there. I don't know if I can do this right here. Let me see. I'm pinching this off, kind of making this a little bit more narrow, like that. Maybe there's an easier way to do this, or some shadows. You can do it with like maybe like a brush or something like that, with a little bit of like dry brushing, like watercolor paint in here, maybe, or dye-based ink, something like that. Could be pretty cool. And then maybe you can get some like brush marks or something like that in here too. You don't want to wet it too much though, because I think sometimes it creates this like thing underneath the emulsion or something like that. I don't know. I forgot what it was that I tried one time. And it's like, oh my god. Or maybe it wasn't on this glow in the dark one, but it was on the the holographic foil vinyl sticker papers. Like that a little bit more, and let's frame this off a little bit more at the base. We'll put that frog kind of a little bit more obscure. Put more things like right down in front here, because frogs usually, they hear you coming from a mile away and they jump into the water or something like that. But this probably could have been stamped up a little bit higher. These look like really gigantic now in relation to them, but oh well. Maybe another 1/4 inch up would have been ideal, but that's a glow in the dark scene right there, so it makes for kind of a cool card. I think this glow in the dark would be perfect for like any of these scenarios though. I think it'd be really fun to do these types of things on this. I can say that now too, because the vinyl, okay, so it's a printable vinyl glow in the dark sticker paper. All those sticker papers are such a mouthful. But when I looked at it a few years ago, it was really expensive, and I can't remember what it was now, but I think if Linda's on, I think she bought a roll of vinyl glow in the dark, right? I don't know if it was a sticker paper, but that one wasn't that one was pretty reasonable in price. I don't know if it was the printable type though. I don't, Linda. I don't know. Chime in here if you're on, but I forgot what one you got. Maybe it wasn't the printable type. This one's the printable type, so it opens things up for our water-based media, which is really nice. But anyways, this paper right here, it was I don't know, it was. I mean, it wasn't insanely expensive before, but it was probably over $1 a sheet. But I was like, I want to try out glow in the dark scenes or something at that time, because I was starting to experiment, and I had found the holographic printable vinyl sticker paper, and that thing worked really well. And there was like only one seller on Amazon for the printable glow in the dark paper. I think I was just looking for just glow in the dark paper in general, but which I thought would be out there and easy to find, but it wasn't. But there was a glow in the dark printable vinyl but it was like one seller, and it was kind of expensive. But I think now it was like, maybe it's like 20% or 30% of what it cost, like even from just a couple years ago. So something like that. And it might even come in different colors too. This one's the typical greenish glow color. And there might be a blue or something like that, unless it's just in my imagination. That was the the glow in the dark glitter or something like that that I was using. There's so much glow in the dark media out there, but as far as papers go, there's a little bit more. Oh, Pearl X would be perfect. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For that snail trail. Iridescent embossing powder. You can draw the trail with Versamark pen, then use the embossing powder. I think if I did that, that'd be a great idea, Laura. I think if I did that, wouldn't it be cool? I think it'd be cool to do an embossed snail if you're going to do the embossed trail, I think, so that you'd have a little bit more mass to the, you know, the trail lever, the creator of the trail would be kind of cool. So you have everything flat, but then you have the snail kind of raised a little bit, and then you can do that trail in there. Yeah, I think both the Pearl X and the the iridescent embossing powder would be really cool. All right, we're talking about glow in the dark stuff. You can do I don't know, it'd be kind of interesting to do a glow in the dark trail. Wouldn't that be fun? You'd have when you do that glow in the dark paint, it doesn't show up that much. I'm talking about like this one right here. Like it depending on what color you did in the background, it'd be kind of interesting to do some kind of snail like on a card, not like in this haunted scenario or something like that, but it'd be kind of interesting to have like a trail, and then you do like your writing or something like that, dear someone or something, or thinking of you, but you do that as like a trail coming, maybe not that gigantic snail, but a smaller one. And you write like thinking of you and, glow in the dark paint, someone can't see until they flip off the lights or something like that. Be kind of interesting. Or if there was a glow in the dark, maybe it would work better if it was like a glow in the dark, like embossing powder, something a little bit thicker. If you do this one in glow in the dark paint, it might be too thin where it doesn't really show up very well. Because if you're writing it with like a brush, you're not leaving like a really thick application of it. It would show up perfectly in under a black light, but a lot of people don't have black lights, to be able to see it. But it'd be kind of interesting to do something like that. Or you have this, you can do these snail trails where it like shows up. You can do it where it's like you're leaving a trail right here, but maybe like on all of this, it's like there's all this writing and kind of like a thin, or if there was like a glow in the dark, like a paint pen like this or something like that, where you do all these hidden kind of writing on here, on the trees or everything like that, it would be pretty funny. It's like the snail went everywhere or something like that. And I think there'd be some possibilities, some good whimsical possibilities, and like hidden code types of things. It might be pretty cool to do. That powder that came in the sets, can't think of them. Chris, are you thinking about that? It might not. It might not be the brand, but this one's the luminous powder right here. I guess you would just lay down some, and it comes in all these different colors right here, but it's this really fine powder like that, but it's all kind of glow in the dark. But something like that might work too. I guess you would just leave a trail. How would you do that? You would leave a trail of like glue or something like that, right? And then you would just sprinkle the powder on it, maybe? But that's a glow-in-the-dark powder, so that I think the glow-in-the-dark powder would show up. It wouldn't look like that iridescent kind of, trail like a real snail leaves in that powder at least. But it would be kind of cool in that it's glow-in-the-dark. It'd be really good. Okay, so now it gets me thinking. So if I'm doing like a glow-in-the-dark trail for like a snail like this, I would do that glow-in-the-dark moon. So I'd probably like stamp some scenario out. I would do the moon though on a separate piece of paper, cut it out and put it in glow-in-the-dark like that. And then I would have that glow-in-the-dark trail down here. or wherever, in whatever scenario that you have the snail in, like that. Now I'm thinking about it too, like on these haunted things too. If I take this paint like this, or I don't know, didn't someone have like a glow in the dark acrylic paint pen? Where you do all the windows in here glow in the dark, and then you have the glow in the dark thing up here. I don't know. You can have some jack-o'-lanterns or something like that, where you do the eyes all in, glow in the dark paint. By the way, you can always draw in these. I have a lot of these pumpkins here that aren't glow in the dark. I mean, jack-o'-lanterns, but if you just draw some faces on them in like a white paint pen or something like that, I think that would work too for jack-o'-lanterns. I just ran out of space on the plate for that, because I had to get everything else in here, so I didn't have room for additional jack-o'-lanterns. I have one right here, but I wanted like a ton of them, but in different sizes, but I just couldn't sacrifice any of these other designs like that for more pumpkins, so we have, but I thought, okay, we have 5 different pumpkin designs on here, so, if someone wants to draw eyes or something like that on these in black and make it out in daytime, they can do that. Everything, do it in white for like a jack-o'-lantern type of scenario, or you can do it in yellow or something like that, like a warm candles inside. What media would do that on suede paper? I don't know. Well, the suede paper is pretty porous like that. Or heat for embossing. Yeah. Vinyl sticker, glow in the dark, not printable. Okay, so Linda, so you used your StazOn on that one, right? Is that what you did? If you used matte workable fixative spray, the watercolor may adhere to it, or some clear watercolor ground. Okay. It came in a roll. Yeah. So you've got those rolls. Those big glow-in-the-dark rolls are cool. With the glow-in-the-dark vinyl, you got to stamp on there with the StazOn ink, right, Linda? For it to stick on there. I was going to say, for this like shading work on here, if it's the vinyl sticker paper roll that Linda got, you might be able to go onto that vinyl. I don't know, has anyone tested this out, but has anyone tried using, Copics or any type of alcohol markers on that vinyl? You might be able to add in shadows directly on top of that vinyl. Now remember, that's a non-printable vinyl, so it's just called vinyl sticker paper, okay? It's not printable vinyl sticker paper. When it says printable vinyl sticker paper, be it holographic or glow in the dark or whatever, just white, okay? That's the water-based media that can be used on there. So your dye-based inks, your Brilliance ink like I used, which is a water-based pigment ink. The other pigment inks, again, are oil-based, so it's not just pigment ink in general, okay? But for the just the vinyl, the non-printable type, maybe try to make a mark on there with the alcohol pens. You might be able to go on there with like a dark gray, and then you might be able to go in there with a blender pen or a lighter gray and blend it together too on vinyl. I don't know. It seems like it could potentially work. And if that's the case, but wait a minute. But if you're going over StazOn ink with your alcohol can dissolve it. So if you try that out, though, I've tried this out before on other things. It's like, okay, if you color objects with alcohol that have been stamped in StazOn or, solvent ink, it can dissolve the ink that's been applied. But I was doing something with the alcohol pens on top of an impression, a StazOn impression that was allowed to dry overnight, and it didn't really lift it or dissolve it. It was set pretty good. So, and I don't remember what paper it was set on, if it was really porous or if it was more, slightly non-porous, like a glossy coating or something like that, or foil. I'm not sure. So I don't know. test your things out. Should you get some kind of new media that you haven't experimented with it before. And it's typically the surfaces that are kind of non-traditional stamping surface. So, like this one, I don't know, people, were buying a lot of it's like a vintage paper or something like that, or the wood grain paper. They're disposable placemat papers for eating. And then the suede paper right here is the same thing, but it's a little bit more glossy. So, test out your things on there. And you can really, usually with between dye-based inks, pigment inks, solvent inks, okay, which is usually just stays on. I just have one solvent ink, which just stays on. It's black. And pigment ink. You can usually find something that's going to work, and it might be in combination with other media too. So test things out. This one was the one that I was surprised that the colored pencils, at least mine, worked on decently. Not great, but you can get a good application of like a thin layer of some of those on there, and it worked pretty good. I did just order a glow-in-the-dark paint pen. Oh. Debbie, do you know what size that was? Was it like a extra fine, or is it more of the 3mm? Let me know if that works. Highlighter pens often glow. Oh. Highlighter pens are dye-based, right? Or water-based. You can get glow-in-the-dark lacquer pens. What is that, Laura? Is that an oil-based pen then? Do I have? No, I don't think I do. I was gonna say, I wonder if I have a glow-in-the-dark pen. I don't know if I do. No, I think I would have remembered that. I'm trying to remember if I had one like years ago. I don't think I do. Okay, so I need to look at those then. I'm going to look up glow-in-the-dark pens, I think, after this, because I think that'll be a really good one for, this Halloween, these Halloween scenarios, too. Like, if you do it like a card base or something like that, too, it'd be kind of cool. You open up and you write on the inside of the card, or if you have this on the inside of the card, you write on the outside in glow-in-the-dark pen work or something like that, too, and I think that'd be really cool. Kind of all in theme, right? Okay, yeah, you use stays on. Okay, so stays on works good on, if you guys want to get some like really inexpensive, I thought it was inexpensive, right? The rolls they're cheaper, right, than the printable, but the printable opens it up for a little bit more inks, because the stays on you can use on here too. But with the non-printable type, the stays on ink for that one, for sure. Hello, Jennifer. Good to see ya. I wonder if water media would pucker the suede paper. It didn't. I'm trying to... I don't know where my test print is somewhere. And, this paper, it's water-based. I'm not gonna, I'm not putting like a big slathering of I'm not gonna watercolor on this. But if you're doing impressions or something like that, it's not gonna pucker that, because it's coated for one, and unless you're laying down like a big slathering of something, I don't think it's gonna affect it enough. And plus, this too, if it does kind of bend it a little bit, with water-based media. I'm not sending, this isn't my card base right here. I guess it could be, you could fold it in half and write on this, but this is, this is like the thickness of like a piece of copy paper. So I'm mounting this on something before I mail it out anyway. And that's going to flatten it out. Same thing for any of these like this. This is a thicker paper, but it's, vinyl sticker paper. So I would take this and I would, I just mounting it and, kind of framing it off is going to be better. So see this right here where it's sticker paper like that. So yeah, any of these things right here. And then I use a spray adhesive. So I get a nice even coating of it, and it just applies really easily. As we're sitting here, I'm looking at this one right here. I'm not going to do too much coloring on this, but I just want to see if I can get the gist of what these pumpkins might look like orange on here. I would blend a little bit more. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to get a good color combination and do some orange tones down here. I think I would just leave the rest of it as is, but maybe just, you know, these like foreground pumpkins, it would be a little bit of an orangish tinge on here. Even though it's the moonlight, I know that, but again, artistic license right here. You wouldn't see, what I'm talking about is you wouldn't see like colors, you know, during under a moonlit situation. But yeah, maybe just a little hint of that, some of that in there would be pretty cool. Oh, cool, looks good. So anyway, yeah, I can add on a little bit of lighting in here too. You know, if this is like a white light in here, it stands to reason that there would be a little bit of a lighting here. Okay, I can't stand it. Let's add in a little bit of that right now. This is white pigment. It might stand out a little bit in here because this, again, this is not done on a white piece of paper, but since we've introduced our light source as being white, you know, let's add in some of that reflective lighting in the form of like this fog or mist like this. When it's my like focal point of the scene, I like to add in a little bit of fog or mist at the base of them like that. And like put some of it up in our tombstones as well. I'm not going to add too much of this. We'll just get a little bit of a hint of it. A little bit of atmospherics in here. Yeah, something like that. I'm just what they call like scumbling some of this, you know, here and there around in the scene like so. All right. So there's our 4 preliminary card finished off. I don't know if they're completely finished off. I might look at these and think, okay, let's put in some other tones or something like that in there. That moon, I mean, it could, you know, if it was a little bit white, if I think I did cut out a another circle out of another one where I can place it down on there and I can turn it kind of white or just get a different tone in there. But I think this looks, I don't know, fine as is. It looks like a book cover or something like that, like a wraparound book cover or something. That's what it reminds me of. Let's see here. Oh, it was the 3mm. Okay, Debbie. I need both a 3mm and a 0.7mm pen, I think. Okay, the lacquer pen. Oh, it's a Hero Arts lacquer pen? That's interesting. I would have thought it would be one of the art manufacturers or something coming from like overseas. Okay, water-based acrylic resin inside a 1/2 ounce bottle with a fine tip for detailed application. Okay, I'll check that out. Huh. Was the suede paper supposed to be a placemat? Well, that's what it is. The suede paper is this right here. It's just 50 disposable printed rectangle paper placemats. So you go to a picnic and you eat your hot dog and hamburger off it, and it doesn't get on your lap because it falls on the paper, and then you toss it out. But what's interesting to me is that when you open it up like this, it says creative uses, arts and crafts, party decor, drawer liners, or gift wrapping. Yeah, and why not, you know? So I just got it because I just wanted to have an alternative to the wood grain placemats. And I think at the time, I don't think the suede one was out there. So I didn't try that for a while. But when I looked again, I wanted to see what else was out there in the placemat, whatever, world. And I think there were some other ones too that looked kind of interesting. There was like this one, it was like a cross section of like a tree stump. So you had that kind of that barky area on the outside, but then it had these concentric circles like this, which would be awesome for scenic stamping. But some of them, there's too much contrast between the darks and the lights, where you know what I mean? If I stamped this over the top of it, like all these concentric circles would be running through there, like really strong, where on the wood grain paper or the vintage papers like this, there's not these hard contrasts in there, where if I stamp something that's open, it'll just be like showing right through it. Like even these tree trunks right here are fairly open. There's a lot of solid areas on them, but if there's too much contrast in the paper behind it or the textures, then you're a little bit limited to what types of stamps imagery you can use on them. You might have to go all the way up to it's like to like all silhouette styles of stamping, and to me that's a little bit limiting. If I'm going to buy a pack of 50 sheets of it, if I had like a multi-pack of 5 different placemats and 5 different patterns or something like that, or 10 different patterns, you get 5 of each, then I would do that. But I don't want to get 50 sheets of something that's a little bit too specialized in terms of stamping ability on it. So but the suede paper, there's not like any kind of really super definitive pattern behind it. That gets a little bit darker like right here, but it's not so much though where I'm gonna work around it too much, in my scenes. You can pretty much stamp whatever you want over any area of it, and that's the same thing with the wood grain paper, the one that I'm using. So I don't know, I really like it, and it really makes for some quick and easy scenes to do. Just when you don't want to feel like starting off with just a white piece of paper, that you have to kind of fill it in a lot of times in that open area. On these ones, you just kind of use shading. Same thing on the glow in the dark paper too. I guess if you had other water-based media in there, you can add it in there. I guess you can go in there and color with dye-based inks if you have like some Tombows or La Plume, the dye-based, the watercolor pens. You can put in extra colors in there if you want to, but I don't know. With the glow in the dark, I usually don't think about doing too much of that. I usually just think about just kind of going with grayscale on it, and it just makes for a really super quick and easy card. With the glow in the dark too, it's extra dynamic too, because it has that whole glow in the dark quality where, if someone has it on display, when they turn off the lights, it's like that little bit of an extra special thing, it's like, it's like you send cards to someone, when they flip off the lights, your card is like still glowing, you know what I mean? You can see it in the darkness, and the vinyls really retain quite a bit of lighting in them. It glows for a while, not just like, some of those paints, where you charge them up and they last like, I don't know, like 5 seconds or something like that, glowing. I don't know, maybe half a minute or something like that. And it's kind of a weak glow, but the vinyl's like really, really strong. Anyways, but I don't think the suede paper was. Okay, it's about the consistency of glossy accents. Yeah, it should be able to handle a little bit of water media then. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's no problem with this one too, but besides it's kind of glossy too. Now, if this was like this paper right here, I don't know if it's glossy on the back. I guess it's glossy on one side, but this to me, if I was using it, it'd be somewhere in between, like a semi-gloss cardstock and a glossy cardstock, except it would be like, I don't know, like 6 point thickness or something like that. I don't know what that would be the equivalent of in pounds, but you can pretty much, like I said, now if someone's doing like watercolor painting on there with brushes and stuff like that, I don't know about that. But if you're using just typical media that you're going to apply, typical rubber stamping media where you're going to sponge on color, that suede paper is not going to have any problem with that. And plus, if you mount it up afterwards anyways, it's going to flatten out like that anyway. So if you have it kind of in a half page like that, I just would suggest investing in a can of spray adhesive. You can just give it a real thin spray, okay? You don't have to get it real super thick. You have it enough to where it's going to stick, though, of course. So I usually give it like 2 quick, thick, bursts. And if I kind of miss some areas, I'll just do a burst in certain areas. And then what I do is I mount it on whatever I'm going to mount it on. I like to double mount my pieces with a thin layer of one color and then around on the outside, maybe this one would look kind of interesting, maybe with a little bit of a gold or something like that around it, like a real thin one. And then like black on the outside. I think that would be pretty cool. But what I do is I spray the back of this and I put it on that gold. And then I would trim afterwards. I wouldn't try to match it up perfectly with, like some like thin layer, strip, because inevitably I'm off a little bit. So I like to trim afterwards. But when I'm using the spray adhesive, you spray it on the back of this, and then you put it down on whatever you're going to mount it on, and then you go over it like this. And then I use like a rubber brayer to brayer it down. Or if you don't have a brayer, just kind of work it out from the inside out like this, as opposed to one side to the next, because you might get like this bubble on the inside if you're using a spray adhesive. Or what you do is you just lay it down like this, and then you lay it down like that. Sometimes like I said, if you go like from one side to the next, and if there's a bubble in there, you can kind of work it out, but sometimes it's, maybe not so much with the half page, quarter page ones, but if you get like a full page one, sometimes I get like, oh man, I got a bubble in there or something like that. And sometimes, if the worst comes to worst, all I have to do is I take like a X-Acto blade and I pop it right there and I let the air out like that, very like indiscernible little tiny hole in it like that, and I let the air out. If you're using spray adhesive, okay? But the spray adhesive on like something like this that's this thin, I just find it comes in handy. It just feels like a nice, solid, really even application of adhesive on there. When something's this big too, and when I just use my tape gun, sometimes it looks really good at first, but sometimes like, I don't know, months later, weeks, especially like years later, sometimes I'd look at it and it's like, it's kind of floppy on the inside. It's like where this paper and the paper that you mounted on, it's, they kind of expanded and contracted with different temperatures at uneven rates or something like that. And it looks a little bit, it doesn't look as flush and crisp anymore. So, I don't know. Again, that's where the brayer comes in handy or something like that. So anyway, all right. So first, I don't know, complete scenes right here. I did the scenes on these just on some, blank glossy yesterday. I might finish this one off, maybe in some blue tones or something like that in the background, or I might stamp like a lightning or something like that. Deanna Tubsidio sent in some of these other papers, like this one right here. This one's this lightning bolt one, and this one would look really cool in the background with something, I don't know. I don't know which direction I would do this one in, but I don't know, something like this over, a Halloween type of scenario I think would be pretty cool. So I'll think about using some of these, or this one's like a lightning bolt here. I think this is kind of like intended to look like that, but I don't know. But it could be like this too, and that would be pretty interesting. Or you can do it like this, I guess. I don't know, I guess it works in any direction. Anyway, all right. So thanks again, everyone, for, if you ordered these images, I'll be using them going forward a lot until Halloween. And I hope you like the initial kind of scenarios that I've stamped them in right here, and the look of them in general. And hopefully, you get the gears are in motion, and you can think of some good scenarios. I haven't even busted out like a ton of other stamps, to use with these ones. Like I said, the spooky skies said, spooky moon, clouds, the spooky branch, especially I want to stamp out these moons like this, the spooky branch, and a couple ravens kind of against a moon like that. I think would be really cool. So I'm going to be cutting a lot more of the sticker paper. I think the sticker paper is not 8.5 by 11, but it's more of that A4, so it's like a little bit closer to like a 4 by 6 or something like that. But I'll be quartering a lot of those papers up, or whatever, sticker papers up for Halloween scenes as well. And I can't wait to do some, some horizon and reflection cards using these images too. I think that just the possibilities with puddles of water and bodies of water, these frogs being down in the lower section, in the reflected area, I think would be really cool. So I don't know, can't wait to try some of these things out. All right, folks, hope you have a great rest of evening and weekend. I'll probably try to jump on another time this weekend for maybe a live, but so many, I don't know, I have a gazillion scenarios going through my head with these new images, so including now like a snail trail thing. If anyone can think of anything, does that, post it somewhere so I could see it, or email me a copy of it, and I'd love to be able to see it. So anyway. All right, thanks everyone.